Hi folks, greetings from the northeast of Iceland. You might remember at the start of the year I broke my Z9, the shutter, the sensor cover broke. Well, now my other Z9 has suffered a similar but not the same fate, and I'm aware the problem is me. This time, my second Z9, so I'm filming with the one that was damaged before and was repaired. This guy took a tumble, it was resting on top, it got knocked over, and happened to hit the side of the camera on a metal edge, which, is what has caused the damage. If it had been on grass or something like that, it probably would have been fine. If it had hit on a different point, it probably would have been fine. But as it is, it broke off the car door, which means it's no longer weather sealed, which is really a problem in Iceland. Let me just give you a little close up on it here. You can see, I think one of the pins there has broken off. Part of the bodywork has actually cracked. Fortunately, it does still shoot, so there isn't a mechanism telling the camera the door's open, so don't shoot, so that's lucky. I have the door, it's intact, so what I'm planning to do is get it in place. I've set the camera up to do duplicate files, so I do have a backup, even if I don't re-back them up to a hard drive on the rest of the trip. And then I bought a new tape of extra power, Scotch tape, waterproof, meant to be the strongest, at least that I could find in this part of Iceland. And I'm going to basically tape it up. Now, it is actually snowing outside. It's beautiful weather. It would have been beautiful to film this outdoors, but I can't until this is weather sealed. Maybe I'll film the conclusion then. Essentially, we went to film at what I think is probably Iceland's best location for filming puffins today. We got really lucky, unless you hate the cold, and it was actually snowing. So let me just show you, it didn't stop me. I still took my other camera out, mostly with the 400, but also the 100 to 400, and got these stills and video. Now, if you're a Nikon shooter, folks, don't follow my example of regularly dropping and breaking your cameras, but you might want to check out my expert setup guide so that you can customize your cameras to get the best results like those puffin shots. I take you through the entire range, not just the flagship cameras, showing you what every physical control on the Nikon Z cameras do, and how you can set them up out of the box, as well as further customizations to get the kind of results that you want. And whilst I am really happy with the results I got there with the puffins, it would have been great to have two cameras to have two different focal lengths and looks going on. So let's get this guy all taped up and then get back out in the field. Well, this is fun. So I just found that this piece of metal also broke off from in here. That should be in there, but it's actually come out. Now, I don't know that there's much point wedging it in there, but I guess at least that way it'll be there when I get home, so I can show it to my Nikon rep or my insurer if I need to. So there we can kind of click everything in where it wanted to be to begin with. Okay, then I want to get the door positioned in basically where it should have been. Now, admittedly, faffing around with all this stuff is the last thing I want to be doing at 11 p.m. whilst I'm in Iceland, but I'm so glad to be back. And whilst I am back, I've just put up a sale for you guys. You can check it out in my link tree. All the different courses I've made here, including my guide to Iceland, Educating Steph, where I teach her photography, the Bodyscapes course with Steph, and the Art Portraits in Public. Check them out, details above. Okay, so that's not an ideal situation. I didn't want to break a camera on this trip, but shit happens. I won't take it out in the driving rain, but I think like this at sub-freezing temperatures in the snow, this is okay. The card door slot is weather sealed anyway. It's got seals and it's in place. So the tape is basically just holding that in place. And I need to make sure it's all super dry before I then take that off and risk getting any rain or whatever into the body itself. Do check out the Nikon setup guide. Don't try this at home. Also see those Iceland sales. Fingers crossed, no other drops, breaks, falls, or any other damage this trip, and lots more photos to be shared over at Instagram and Facebook. Details below.